Let me start off by asking you a seriously terrifying question. What if the people meticulously plotting to completely ruin your life, destroy your reputation, and literally steal everything you've worked for weren't some random strangers on the internet? What if they weren't rival coworkers, but were actually sitting right across from you at your own family dinner table? Well, let's dive right into this explainer, because today we're looking at a story that is going to completely redefine the concept of toxic family dynamics. So we are unraveling the incredibly gripping, totally infuriating, and honestly, ultimately triumphant true story of Chu Yuan. He's just your ordinary, hardworking software programmer, right? But he's somehow found himself at the absolute center of a vicious, life-destroying plot. And the wildest part of the whole shebang? He had to meticulously investigate his own flesh and blood to save his future. Let's walk through exactly how this brilliant takedown happened.
Section 1. A shocking, false accusation.
Okay, the nightmare for Chu Yuan kicks off on a perfectly normal day. Suddenly, boom, the police are knocking on his apartment door. And the accusation? They tell him they've received a highly specific, anonymous tip accusing him of abusing a 5 to 6-year-old girl. The informant even sent in photos showing horrific injuries on the child's arms and face. For a single guy who basically just goes to work and plays video games, this was completely out of left field. But think about the stark contrast here for a second. His reality is a 40-square-meter bachelor pad. When the police searched it, they found a fridge full of instant noodles and expired dumplings, exactly 1 toothbrush, 1 towel, and literally 0 kids' clothes or toys. But then you have this horrifyingly detailed police report that somehow accurately described the exact layout of his apartment, down to the floor plan, while inserting this entirely fabricated story of child abuse. The cognitive dissonance for the cops was immediate.
But innocence doesn't exactly stop the rumor mill. The immediate fallout was just devastating. I mean, before a single fact was actually proven, Chu Yuan's life was decimated. His HR department caught wind of the police visit and suspended him on the spot. His neighbors started treating him like a monster, locking him out of the local convenience store and demanding he be evicted in the community group chat. Even a woman he was supposed to go on a blind date with completely ghosted him. His reputation was ruined practically overnight.
Section 2. Uncovering the family betrayal.
Thankfully, the police actually did their job. They confiscated his devices, combed through all his chat histories, his browsing data, bank records, and found his communication was squeaky clean. He was totally cleared. But that left a massive question hanging in the air. Who filed this incredibly malicious report? Well, the answer uncovered a genuinely sickening betrayal. The police traced the IP address of that anonymous tip straight back to room 402, Building 3. That was the exact address of his older brother Shui and his sister-in-law Shang Li. And it gets worse. The forensic team confirmed the abuse photo was photoshopped. The original photo was just a perfectly healthy 5-year-old girl. And that girl? It was Chu Yuan's own niece, Shaola. His sister-in-law actually used a photo of her own daughter to frame him. Let that sink in.
To understand why on earth this happened, we have to look at the family's historical financial bleeding. It all boils down to an insanely toxic family dynamic and blatant parental favoritism. See, when his brother Chule got married, their parents happily handed over 200,000 yuan for a down payment. But when Chu Yuan wanted to buy his own modest apartment, his mother gave him zero. Zero down payment, zero help. Chu Yuan scrimped, saved, and bought his place entirely on his own dime. Despite that, his sister-in-law Zhang Li was constantly manipulating him. She acted incredibly entitled to his hard-earned money and relentlessly demanded he just give them his house, purely because he was single.
Section 3. Gathering the ironclad evidence.
So armed with this horrific truth, Chu Yuan goes to a lawyer friend, and the lawyer gives him the best advice possible. Do not act impulsively. Chu Yuan plays it smart. He plays along. He pretends he thinks he's just the victim of a random prank, while covertly building an undeniable, ironclad criminal case against his attackers. He started digging, and wow, did he hit the jackpot. Through a mutual friend's husband, check out this direct quote from a leaked WeChat message sent by his sister-in-law Zhang Li to her best friend. Quote, "Once he loses his job, let's see how tough he can act. Then he'll obediently hand over the house." It's absolutely chilling. She wasn't just trying to hurt his feelings. This was a highly calculated, premeditated plot to destroy his livelihood so he'd be financially forced to hand over his property.
But wait, the betrayal somehow goes even deeper. Chu Yuan was scrolling through some family photos one day and accidentally stumbled on a screenshot of a text exchange. It read, "Don't worry, Mom, I filed the report anonymously. Then we can just get him to sign the house over." The mom in this text? Yeah, it was Chu Yuan's own mother. His own mother was actively conspiring with his sister-in-law to frame her youngest son and steal his home. No way, right?
And the criminality didn't even stop at the false police reports. Now, totally suspicious, Chu Yuan checked his credit history and found a staggering number waiting for him: 47,300 yuan. Zhang Li had committed outright identity fraud. She used Chu Yuan's personal info to apply for a secret credit card with a 50,000 yuan limit, and then she just proceeded to max it out at maternity and baby stores.
Section 4. The Birthday Party Confrontation.
Okay, now the chain of evidence is completely sealed. Chu Yuan had the IP trace, the digital forensics on the photo, the leaked chat logs, and the credit card fraud report. But he doesn't just run straight to the police. Oh no, he waits. He waits for his father's 60th birthday party, with literally all the relatives present, to spring the ultimate trap. He sits at the dinner table and just lets it unfold like a maestro. Step 1. He waits for Zhang Li to naturally ask if she could use his apartment's address for her daughter's school registration, which is a classic foot-in-the-door technique to claim the property. Step 2. Chu Yuan completely flips the script. He casually mentions his police investigation and drops the IP trace directly linking to her house. As she starts panicking and denying it, he moves to Step 3. He reads the malicious WeChat logs and his mother's complicit text messages aloud to the entire family. And then, for the final devastating blow, Step 4. He slams the credit card fraud report right on the table.
And right there, amidst the chaos at the dinner table, the final bombshell motive comes out. Why were they so incredibly desperate to steal his 40-square-meter bachelor pad? Well, it turns out his brother Chu had racked up a secret gambling debt of over 200,000 yuan. They were facing absolute ruin. And instead of, taking responsibility, the brother, the sister-in-law, and the mother all decided that sacrificing Chu Yuan and robbing him of his only asset was just the easiest way out.
Section 5. Justice and Consequences.
Naturally, the family instantly pivots from trying to ruin him to practically begging for his mercy, throwing around family loyalty and worrying about his father's blood pressure. But Chu Yuan, having finally seen the true faces of his family, he just walks out of that birthday dinner, heads straight to the police, and pushes forward with severe criminal charges. And the sheer scale of legal jeopardy Zhang Li walked into is massive. Defamation and false accusation, especially when it causes someone to lose their job and reputation, that carries up to 3 years imprisonment. And the credit card fraud, she spent 47,300 yuan. That is agonizingly close to the 50,000 yuan threshold for a large sum severe penalty. Once the bank added their interest and late fees, it pushed her well over that disastrous limit.
So now, facing actual real-life prison time, Zhang Li's lawyer reaches out with a desperate settlement offer. They say they'll pay off the credit card and even throw in money for lost wages and emotional distress, but in exchange, Chu Yuan has to write a letter of forgiveness to lighten her sentence. Well, Chu Yuan makes an absolute legendary countermove. He demands exactly 117,000 yuan to cover every single lost penny, late fee, and his emotional distress. He tells them to transfer the money, but explicitly states he will never, under any circumstances, sign a letter of forgiveness or drop the criminal complaint.
The aftermath of this whole confrontation was incredibly swift. The toxic couple, Chu Li and Zhang Li, immediately turn on each other. They actually file for divorce simply to try and dodge the overlapping criminal and gambling debts. Meanwhile, Chu Yuan takes all his evidence straight to his employer and is warmly welcomed back, completely vindicated. His neighbors apologize, and he gets to return to his peaceful 40-square-meter apartment, which is now undeniably and forever his. He even started texting a new romantic prospect who actually appreciated him for who he was.
Which brings us to the end of this explainer, and I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. Society puts a massive emphasis on family loyalty, constantly telling us that blood is thicker than water. But when toxic relatives cross the line from standard family dysfunction into outright malicious criminality, is cutting them off an act of betrayal, or is it simply an act of survival? Think about that for a bit, and let this crazy story be a reminder to always, always protect your peace.